Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome to another episode of our Widening Circles special guest series. Widening Circles is an online mycelium network or community of spaceholders who are coming together in a spirit of mutual support for our growth as humans, as professionals, and as entrepreneurs. And as part of the environment that we're co-creating in Widening Circles, we like to bring in special guests, people that inspire us, people that we regard as masters in this mystery and art of holding space for other humans in their growth. And we like to share that with you. And you're very welcome to have a listen to this episode in which we invite as our special guest Emma Marie Gathergood, a beautiful human and wise elder that holds so much wisdom and so much beautiful, deep and rich connection with the earth, reminding us of the ways in which we can bring more of that spirit of nature into our work with other people. And I'm looking forward to hearing back from you about what you find in this session that you're about to listen to. And also feel welcome to subscribe to our channel and to look at more information for our community and for Emma Marie in the links provided in the video below. Enjoy your listen and let me know what you find. Thank you. Good. So hello everyone, and welcome to this session when we have as our special guest Emma Marie Gathergood. I am feeling very excited and honored to have you, Emma Marie. And just before we begin, I want to introduce a little bit more about you to our audience and to our community. So Emma Marie is a holistic life coach, and she's also a wise elder that I feel very inspired by. And her history is that she worked for more than 50 years as a therapist. So taking care of people in the context of mental health and NHS in London, in the UK. And she's worked with many different modalities like psychosynthesis, NLP, CBT, mindfulness. She's had her own journey with meditation and yoga as well, with travels all over the world where she really got to have this sense of including spiritual awareness into working with people in terms of their psychological growth. That happened quite early on in her career. And she's also had experience as an entrepreneur, having her own business around stress management for some time. And she's also a writer, wrote several different books on really embracing this more holistic approach to well-being and human development, and also our relationship with the earth. The latest book she wrote is called Choosing the Thriving Life Paradigm, and that was just published now. And besides this, she is the founder of a foundation that looks to support those who care for the earth and those that are doing good work in that direction in the face of the climate crisis we're venturing into, and supporting people that are doing work with her skills and her abilities. Last but not least, I want to share just a personal experience. I first met Emma Marie in the context of a community called Deep Adaptation that is looking to basically enable loving responses to likely or already unfolding society collapse because of climate change. And I was in an earth listening session with her. She was holding one such session with beautiful people from the community. And I still remember that it was about 2 years ago, and this feeling of ancientness that I had in my body, like this feeling of, as I connected with the earth and in the practice that she suggested, this feeling of wow, I'm so old. Every part of this being is so old. And it was such a beautiful and deep experience. And later on, just about a month ago, as I was in the process of relaunching Widening Circles in our group, Emma Marie joined one of our gatherings, and she felt like, I don't know, like something that was sent from spirit, because I've always related to the spirit of this circle, of this community, as a circle of grandmothers. And I was like, oh, here's one actual one coming in, telling me about actual circles of grandmothers that she's part of. There's a network called the Net of Light, which is a network of grandmothers that she's part of, among many other things. And I since then have had a chance to receive support from her and move through so many things, beautiful learnings and growth for me in terms of moving through trauma, legacy burdens, working with ancestors. She's been an amazing support in that, and continues to be an amazing inspiration in connecting more with the earth and with ancestry and with, yeah, just the incredible magic of being human. And I really appreciate the way that she holds both wisdom and such an open mind to explore new approaches and keep on learning. So that's what I feel like sharing as we open the space. And I would like to perhaps begin with opening the space for Emma Marie to share anything that I missed, any other way in which you would like to be known as we move into this space, anything that feels important to share about how you are maybe right now and what feels important in your world in this moment.
Wow, thank you, Zoe. I mean, it all sounds pretty amazing, doesn't it? And it's really, it's not quite how I see it. To start with, all the notes that Zoe got, were many of the notes she got were from my website, which I haven't looked at for 10 years. I mean, you know, I just remembered I ought to put my new book on it, and I haven't done that. I retired 12 years ago, and I just do what I do, but my life has kind of changed from being focused on mental health and on individuals to actually connecting with the earth. I live in the most beautiful part of England called the Malvern Hills, which is in the heart of England. And it's just a beautiful range of hills, and I'm deeply connected. I first came here when my daughter was a baby, and she's now 45. And I have a connection with this place, which has taught me about this earth listening, which I do every week. I do it every Friday with my American friend Sasha. And to me, my belief is that the mess we've got ourselves into can only be, I can't say helped or mitigated. I mean, we are in a pretty bad mess. But if we listen to the earth can tell us. This is the thing I've learned in the last few years. The earth has a wisdom, and if we listen to her, we're more likely to find some way of getting through this very, very crazy place where we find ourselves. So I've sort of changed from being like a person-centered therapist to being, I don't know, and I mean, the earth's traumatized, and I work with traumatized people, and I'm a traumatized person. So it's like, it seems, yeah, it's all kind of followed. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, so do ask me some questions, because I can't sit here twiddling my thumbs and saying, hello, pussycat.
Beautiful. Thank you, Emma Marie. Like listening to you right now, I have this feeling of my being expanding to become the earth, to feel more like part of it. So I really appreciate that state of consciousness, and you helping me to return back to it. And actually, as part of that, I want to ask you a second important question, because one of the inquiries that we hold in our community is how do we create an environment that supports human growth and thriving? And I feel we can extend that to human and non-human growth and thriving. So I'm curious, what's your take on that question? Especially given your last book, Choosing the Thriving Life Paradigm.
Yes, I'm sort of tempted to read the back of it to the group. Would that be a good plan? Sorry, do you think that, shall I do that? Yes, and so so that you get the gist of what I'm on about. This is the story of one woman's attempt to be the change she wanted to see in the world. This is both an exciting adventure story. It's basically my life story, which is a bit mad, to put it mildly. It's an exciting adventure story, plus a deeply philosophical work examining two very different ways of seeing the world. The first is the existing power over paradigm, which promotes a lifestyle that has resulted in rape and pillage, often living with total disregard for what we are leaving for future generations, or indeed for anyone other than ourselves. What other paradigm or species has ever developed a way of life that destroyed its own habitat at the same time as abusing and wreaking havoc on all other species and life forms? However, living by the thriving life paradigm means living in such a way that all life can thrive, not only human beings, the animals, the birds, the fish, the insects, but also the trees, the rivers, the rocks, the mountains. I sit here holding a bit of molten rock as we talk. It's never far from me. It sits on my table and it connects me. We are the rock. We are the earth. We are. Yes, I won't bother with any more of that. But you get what I'm talking about, that we have to move from this thing of us being these people who live on this planet. No, we are part of the planet. The rocks, the rivers, the trees, the leaves. We are it. We are a small part of it. I described it, I was leading a meditation yesterday, and I described it as, I suddenly saw a clock, you know, a big old-fashioned clock with all the different wheels and cogs. And if one part stops working or goes rusty or starts becoming something it isn't, the whole clock will stop working. The whole way that the time works and the clock keeps ticking over is because every single part knows its place and does what it does. And because we've lost our connection with the earth so much, many of us have forgotten, what am I meant to be doing? What's my next step? How do I know? Well, I'm meant to be in the world. Gosh, I mean, when I was a child, that wasn't something that anybody ever asked. Even though my brother ended up going over to New Zealand and became one of the activists, one of the main activists who helped to make New Zealand a nuclear-free zone. So my brother had quite a lot of sort of influence in changing things. But we need to listen to the earth. Where do you want me? How can I work with you? What's my next step? And know that there is a place that is pulling you. You've found it already. And you will find who you're meant to be when you're there. And if you're living somewhere where you're not happy and that you don't fit, be open to going somewhere you do. Because it's such a waste of space trying to fight with a system. You know, if you're surrounded by people who still live in the power of paradigm, you're not going to be your best.
Beautiful. Getting this sense of clarity in the way that you're describing these two options, power over paradigm and thriving life paradigm. And I guess what's coming up for me as curiosity is, how do you approach weaving that into holding space for people, in encouraging them to do them, or supporting them to do that, supporting them to feel as part of the earth? If you can speak more to the way that you integrate that in that specific context.
To me, holding space is a bit like me becoming the clock frame that is holding all those different cogs, and having enormous appreciation for each cog, each little bit of that clock working, and being aware that it's like a pendulum, and one of these big old-fashioned clocks might think it's the boss, but I know how to say, pendulum, what would you be if the bit that's holding you up suddenly collapsed? It's like being aware that we've all got we all have equal importance, and we've all got something to do, even if we've been told by society we're not quite where it's at, and we should have fitted in, and we should have got a first-class honours degree, and we should have done this, and then having got the degree, we must go and make lots of money, and you know, and we don't do that, and we're inclined to feel, oh dear, I don't fit in. Thank the Lord we don't fit in. My God. I mean, that's the first celebration, is I don't fit in anywhere, and I'm looking to see where I do. Brilliant, you've asked the right question.
Beautiful. Thank you, Emma Marie. What I'm hearing or receiving from you is this, perhaps holding this quality of belonging. You belong as you are, exactly as you are. Even if you feel insignificant, there is an important role that you're playing in the whole. And that sense of belonging and welcoming that is open through that. And including welcoming the parts that feel like they don't belong, they don't fit in. Yeah. So really appreciate receiving that. And I would like to open the space for questions from the rest of the group. Anything that's here you want to ask, you're curious about, from Emma Marie?
I have a question, if I may. Hi again, Emma Marie. I am curious to understand, or like I'm wondering, maybe it's a better word, what changed for you? Like, what made the switch between you working as a therapist in a more, let's say, in a more, I don't know, even like in a way that is more seen as, okay, this is what therapist does individually, and you work with these people, and then you changed completely into this new paradigm, this new idea, this new way of seeing even the world, and that changed probably your work. But was there a moment where you just felt, okay, that's enough? And what was that for you?
Okay, thank you. Well, I had already retired and was still, the last but one book I'd written was called Becoming Whole, embracing and something, owning or something, our body, mind, spirit, feelings. And I was running courses locally, and no, I wasn't doing online then, about the book, and holistic life coaching is sort of what I was on about. And then I went on holiday, and I was on the holiday and my back went. I have a back that goes from time to time. And so I ended up spending quite a lot of time in the most amazing bedroom in the world. It's in North Wales and it's right on the coast. The sea just comes up to the bedroom, you know, it's just the most amazing place. I'd gone with my partner and we rented this place. And actually what we were doing in Wales, we'd gone to the CAT, the College of Alternative Technology, which, if any of you know, in Wales is sort of the place that for many, many, many years has been teaching technologies that can help the earth. That's why we've gone there and we've gone to the coast. And one morning I did a lot of meditating, just sitting on the bed with I had a, what's it called, a balcony, and the doors were open, even though it was February. And then the sea one morning started talking to me. And it's not surprising, my house is covered in sea paintings. I lived by the coast, lived on the south of England before I retired, working in Bridport and Dorset. And it's still in the UK, although I have worked in other places around the world, but not more recently. Anyway, I was there on holiday and the sea told me in no uncertain terms how angry it was. It communicated just its absolute disbelief in the way people treated it. Like it's you make out that you like the sea and you want to come and live by the sea, and then you build all these awful places and you just dump your rubbish in it, and it went on and on like this. And I was very receptive to it because, I mean, I don't spend my life having conversations with other than human things, but it kind of has happened on occasion. And I knew it was telling me something that I had to listen to. And I came down and spoke to my partner, who immediately thought I was sort of having a mental breakdown and did he ought to call the emergency services. And clearly I was a little bit loopy. Unfortunately, I reassured him and realized, oh God, don't bother to try and make him understand. And so I just went off and walked around the sea and listened and talked. And then coincidentally, or is this a coincidence? It so isn't, is it? I came back from that holiday and it was at the very beginning of the pandemic. And I was part of Extinction Rebellion. That's what this poster was originally. I used to go on Extinction Rebellion marches, and the grandmothers are my spiritual guides. They are a bunch of women in spirit who do talk to a lady in America, and she channels books, but they talk to many of us. And so when I go on the marches, well, I used to, you know, I take this, and then the grandmothers in spirit were there helping us. And anyway, oh, I've lost my train of thought. Sorry, this is what happens when you get old, isn't it? Anyway, I came back, and working with Extinction Rebellion, I had arranged to do a talk on deep adaptation, which I knew very little about, except that I liked the sound of it, which it was started by some guy called Jem Bendel, who said, look, I'm a sustainability professor and I can't any longer be a sustainability professor because it's gone too far. We can't sustain, something's gone wrong. And we need to set up this, this awareness that it's all gone pear-shaped. And they're the 4 R's. I wonder if I can remember them. Resilience, restoration, restoring what's needed, what's important, relinquishment of all this going around the world on jets, buying lots of clothes we don't need, you know, digging all the stuff out the earth, and then reconciliation. Anyway, I was going to give this talk, and then I came back and the pandemic had started. And so I said to my colleagues, let's set up Zoom. And I gave the first talk any of us never given on Zoom. And that was me talking about it. Anyway, after having given that, I thought I'd better find out a bit more about it. So I joined a deep adaptation chat. And as you know, on these Zooms, they put you in breakout rooms. So they put 3 of us together. And everybody else was talking about the pandemic and, oh, isn't it terrible? Oh, it's awful. And us 3 said, no, it's wonderful. There's no horrible, noisy things flying overhead. The roads are quiet. This is the best thing that's ever happened. And then in this little breakout room, I said to the others about what had happened on holiday, that the earth has spoken to me. And instead of like my partner saying, oh my God, the woman's gone mad, they said, yeah, the earth often speaks to me. I'm not at all surprised. And we so liked each other that when we came out, the whole of the rest of the group, and there were loads of them, they were all cross. They weren't in our group because they'd had this horrible group talking about how terrible life was. And we were just all so excited. So anyway, we arranged to meet and the 3 of us met. And it turns out Dorian is the most amazing person. He's French and he is doing a PhD and studying the whole deep adaptation ethos and everything. He was one of them. The other one was Sasha Dolkus, the American lady. And the 3 of us decided to get together and listen to the earth weekly online, which we did. And so then other people, cat swallows and other people from DA joined us. And for the first 6 months, it was just this bunch of friends getting together to do a meditation and listen to the earth. And then the others were much more involved with running DA, and they were all the top people running it. And I began to realize this was something that couldn't just be a bunch of friends doing. We needed to teach this. And so I volunteered and I became its teacher and I instigated it. And it's been going every Friday ever since. Sorry, that's a terribly long story to your question.
I loved it. Thank you. I somehow imagined when you were talking how I put my ear to the earth and I stay like this for a while. I think you inspired me to do that tomorrow. I'll tell you how it goes. Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you that when we talk about earth listening, what we tend to do is we have a theme, like the last one was belonging. Belonging not just on the earth, but the earth belonging in the universe and all being part of something. So we talk a little bit about whatever the theme is. And then I lead a meditation where I get people to imagine they've gone into a local place, not some favorite, amazing, beautiful place, but maybe their own back garden or the park where they walk the dog or just somewhere locally. And as they're imagining themselves in it, they listen to what, in this case, belonging. And it was like, what is this place going to tell them about belonging? And it's amazing. Everybody who comes has a different experience. And it's not, the earth speaks out and says words, but suddenly it's like a tree. You'll feel it wanting to hug you, and there'll be a feeling of love. So often, or there'll be a feeling of destruction, or there'll be a feeling of something. So the listening is not in words, or it can be, but and then the group comes together and shares what they get. And what we've got a group started up in Australia and another one in Germany, and so it's something that's spreading because anybody could do it. If you're a person who's tuned in, if you like what I'm saying, start a local earth listening group. Any of us can do it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Emma Marie. I saw Samira had a hand up. So maybe she wanted to ask something.
I'm so grateful to be here and that you followed up with that question with the example of the earth listening. Yeah, I believe the pandemic created a space for all of us to listen more deeply to the earth, for sure. Definitely in my own life. The deepening, and you said belonging. And yeah, wow. Last few years, my belonging with the earth has begun to blossom and root in ways that are really healing. And I thank you for all the work that you've done with helping people, humans, in your early life to learn how to belong and thrive. And now to be able to transform that into a relationship for humans to be in right relationship with the earth is so beautiful, and I'm so grateful. I wonder if you were to speak to people that didn't have a sense of belonging, and because yeah, if a person didn't have a sense of belonging yet had a longing inside of them, do you have tools that you would share with someone that is in that space of, yes, I know that something's not quite right, and I don't know what to do?
Interesting question. Yes, I mean, I was lucky. I grew up in the country, and so I did have that childhood connection. Then I moved to London and, you know, lived a life that wasn't connected to the earth for many years. But to someone who's never had that, what would I say? I'd say, okay, in your imagination, go for a walk out of your door, down the street, and see where you end up. See if anything jumps out at you while you're walking along. It might be the colour of a flower in somebody's front garden. It might be a little tiny weed having struggled to come up between the paving slabs. It might be an old tired tree on the side of the road. But walk along and imagine you've got a friend out there. One of these creatures, one of these beings, or it might be a creature, it might be a cat wandering along and really wants to talk to you. It might be a spider spinning a web one morning when it's frosty and this incredible colours. It's like, be aware of colour, be aware of movement, be aware of sudden interest, and then connect and realise, hey, this spider, this tree, this blade of grass is as much part of the whole living ecosphere as I am. And see if it'll say hello. Because I have a theory that if we love something, if we go, wow, that spider, look at that web, that's so clever, the spider picks up. That energy is love, that energy is appreciation, that energy is, oh, I'm part of this, and look at that amazing creature. And that creature, or even that blade of grass, can go, wow, I've been seen. I've been seen, somebody's seen me. And then it's going to love us back. And that's the beginning of your earth listening experience. How's that?
Wow, that is absolutely beautiful. Love that. And I love the idea that you're talking about, that you were dealing with trauma and are now helping the earth through trauma, which is beautiful. What you just said just now struck me as really interesting, because it seems to be about presence. being very, very present at at that particular moment, and like you say, noticing and appreciating. And it's not so much worrying about past or what's happening here, but being what is happening right now. And I think that's incredibly powerful. So that to me, and that's kind of a way that that's why I'm living on this lake in Guatemala right now. It's kind of sit here and chase butterflies, I call it, and wander around and do exactly that. So I just wanted to say that's very, very powerful. A question for you is kind of, I think, kind of associated. When you're talking about the clock and the clock analogy, I've tend to come to an understanding that you're exactly right. I mean, in that anything is working in the right, or is working, it's got a role to play. That all the pieces come together. They've got to be working in a particular way in order to make the clock work. But at the same time, there's kind of a weird thing between everything is happening exactly as it should versus also trying to fix things that are happening that might be making the clock not really work. And that's kind of a weird kind of balance. Does that make any sense to you right now? Like, how do you figure out between what is something which is working as it's supposed to be working, even if for the person or the individual or the moment doesn't feel right, it's actually working in the right way, versus which things do you fix?
Interesting. I would say, just from my own life, if I'm doing something that isn't feeling good,
yeah,
I don't say that's a negative thing and I've got to stop it. I say, oh, what's the learning here? What's that if I'm behaving in a way, say there's a certain person in my life, and whenever I'm with them, I'm not being my best self. I don't say, oh, ignore that person, or don't go there. And I don't say, oh, God, I'm so awful, and beat myself up. I'm intrigued, I'm curious. It's like, find out why, what is it in me that is doing that? And that is a lead. That's like the end of, I'm thinking of walking in the woods, and you've got you've dropped the breadcrumbs, and you're following the lead to see who's been dropping the breadcrumbs, and it leads you to your next step. So when the bit of the clock isn't working, it's meant to not work to show you what you need to be doing next. And therefore it's not a bad thing. It's everything's working as it should. Yeah, that part was meant to break down and not work then, because it's got a message. And I've recently come across, I mean, I'm embarrassed to say I've only recently come across the work of Dick Swartz and the inner family systems stuff. And I just love it. And it's this thing of approaching each part with curiosity and compassion. So if I'm behaving strangely, or the universe is behaving strangely, you know, like, oh, something in my garden, in the heat, one of my trees, in that awful heat we had in the middle of summer, one of my beautiful flowering bushes appears to have died. And it's like, what's the message for me? And it was, for me, it's a big shrub, and I was watering my little, my veggie patch, and I was watering my little flowers and my flower border, but I hadn't gone a bit to the end of the garden and watered this big thing. And it was like, be aware of the bigger thing might need your help. So again, it's like, oh, well, it shouldn't have died, but it has a big message for why I let it die. My daughter was very cross with me and said, Mum, you haven't been watering it. And I hadn't. She was right. Because again, we have to conserve water, don't we, when we've got a drought. But yeah, there's some learning in it.
And you...
Good. Thank you very much. That's cool. Go ahead.
I wanted to point out that the judgment that was taken out of the equation
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed. It's also very interesting that, like, to me, it's one of those weird things in respecting things as happening for a reason, and recognizing that. But I love that perspective of, it doesn't mean you just let things be broken because they're supposed to be like that. It's an actual learning, and it's a lesson, and it's pointing out, oh, okay, so why is that not working? Like, it's a teaching, right?
Yeah.
And like you say, Samira, you take the judgment out of it, and you go, okay, broken, great. So what do we learn from it? But without the judgment of, oh gosh, there's something broken, or I'm wrong, or they're wrong. Oh, I love that. That's great. Thank you very much.
Veronica has a question. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm still letting these last sentences land inside me. Thank you, Jay, for bringing that question. And there is something that raised up for me, Emma Marie, as I listened to your proposal of listening to the earth. And I just wanted to share some resonance in me, because there is something that's speaking out loud for me when you say it, when you bring that. And
Sorry,
I feel
my cat's tail just caught fire in the candle. It's a very bushy tail, and I thought, what's that smell? So sorry to interrupt you. Carry on. Oh, we singed you, darling. Yes, sorry. Sorry,
where
go
was
on.
I?
I'm
Yeah,
so sorry.
where the cat jumped in. I was sharing that my experience. I'm really. I've just googled the deep adaptation, and I'm going to read more and to go more deep into that. But the resonance I was feeling as I was listening to you is my own connection to the earth. That's really young, I would say, but it's something I would really like to give more space to. Has always happened through my body. The way I perceive my body is as my, I would say, the little piece of earth that was given to me as a gift. And I can relate to the earth through my body. When I relate to my body, when I go back to him or to her, and I feel welcome, and I can talk to my body, and I can hear my body when she speaks. That there's something that the one who's speaking is not only my own body, but there's some ancient wisdom talking through her to me. And that's the way in which I feel my connection to the earth. When I've heard the mountains talk to me, when I go and stand and let that big mountain have her impact on me, it's always through my body. I can feel things in my chest. I can feel something opening. I can feel a big power coming from that mountain, and it's always channeled through my body. So that's my first resonance, and I wanted to share what has been yours on how does this land for you.
Yes, and you're lucky to have got that connection. It's taken me many years to get that connection, but it has come now. I'm more in my head, and I've had to teach myself. And so often when I'm starting to lead the meditation for earth listening, I'll say, okay, let's breathe into our bodies and first connect with our bodies, because that's our little bit of the earth. And then I'll say, and then let's take this body of ours in our imagination into a local green space, and carry on with the meditation. And so I absolutely love it that you brought that up, because yes, we don't want to be connecting to the earth through our heads. Before we do the whole earth listening thing, we want to be, yes, I am a body, and I've got a body that can move, whereas the tree has got a body that's pretty static apart from its leaves. But it's like, so I'm connecting through the body. So I'm so pleased you brought that up. It's really important. Yeah, because part of our disconnect of our modern society is that we all so got up into our heads and we lost this connection. And I say I was lucky because as a child, I grew up in the countryside and I did have it as a child. But for many people my age, it was all, oh, do your homework, get yourself to university, get yourself a good job. And there's no, people are not in their bodies. And if they're not in their bodies, they're not going to be in and of the earth either. Yeah, it's part of our current problem.
Thank you, Emma Marie. We have space for one more question. If there's anything here that remains. There's so many things I'm noticing as you speak. So many different threads connecting, and just really appreciating the presence of the earth in our space even right now, as we keep on bringing our attention there, even if we're not out in the garden. Just that ability actually for the human consciousness to go there and to experience that as we use the words and use our imagination as well. If that's something that's not accessible, which is the case for many people, it might be harder to get to a place where it feels like truly nature, wild nature kind of space, and the blessedness for those of us who are more connected. And what I'm being with is this sense of really nature as the ultimate spaceholder. You know, it's like it's this feeling of, you know, the permission to be as we are, the permission, you know, to feel like we belong. You know, as you look at the tree and how it's going to be crooked in its own unique way, and it might have some branches cut off, and you know, and each of us is like that too, and it's okay. and just the breathing into that, and yeah, that feels really nurturing as a way to basically invite that spirit, as we hold space for other people, to invite that spirit of nature to be with us, and to watch, even for maybe metaphors that often come in working with people, and the way that those metaphors are here for a reason and can open up a whole landscape of what might want to be revealed for them with that earthly permission. So that's what's here.
What came to me while you were talking was the meaning of the word perfection. Actually, perfection means the whole thing. It does not mean leaving the bits out we don't like and going for this. The true meaning of perfection is the whole thing. And when we realize that, yes, if we're the tree, which is a little bit lopsided, brilliant. Why are we the tree that's a bit lopsided? That lopsidedness is going to be the key to who we are and what we're going to be doing with our life. And that's our way in to our role and what we're here to be. I mean, for me, as a highly sensitive child, it was always, oh, I shouldn't be like this. But I was, and that was what made me a really, good therapist and then life coach. And now it's like my very not fitting in-ness was what was meant to be for me to live the life I've lived. And still at 76, sort of doing this sort of thing and very aware of the role of what I'm doing. I feel so sorry for these old people who did fit in, and now nobody wants them, and they don't know who the hell they are.
Wow.
Wow, that really hit me. My parents are in their 80s, and they definitely did their fitting in, and now they watch a lot of TV and sit in a chair. Wow. Are there ways in which we can, so this is a present moment awareness, like I want to be like, wow, how can I help my parents to belong here while their bodies are still functioning?
I guess the thing is, what did you never do that you would have loved to have done? The school teacher might have wanted to have been an artist, or the engineer might have wanted to be a gardener, or whatever it was. Or one might have had an interest in music or something and never pursued it. And it's like, find something that, one question which I've done working with individual people is, what did you do as a child that brought you joy? And that is still the same for an old person. Whatever brought me joy as a child will still bring me joy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's beautiful, Emma Marie. And it kind of, for me, it feels like a full circle, just the way that a child relates to nature and the way that an elder relates to nature feels like there's a closer relationship there. And the way that we can draw inspiration from those people, and also from those parts of ourselves, but they're still here in this present moment. There is the child, and there is also the elder I'm becoming. And just this way of inviting them to be with nature. And I really love what you said earlier about perfection being about wholeness. It's a whole thing, and looking at ourselves as well in that way. So thank you. I feel on this note we can close this space, and really deep gratitude to you, Emma Marie, for everything you've shared. So that was our time with Emma Marie Gathergood. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I would love to hear from you in comments, anything that stood out, anything you wish to share that impacted you from what you received. And if you're interested in staying up to date with our community, you can hit the subscribe button, and also you're very welcome to have a look at our program and potentially joining it in case there is spots available. We're always happy to welcome some more beautiful humans that are on this path of space holding and have some experience with that, at least 5 years. And so thank you for listening. I hope you feel nurtured and nourished by this beautiful exploration with Emma Marie Gathergood. Feel free to check about her in the details in the video below. So that was our time with Emma Marie Gathergood. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you feel nurtured and nourished by the threads that we have explored with her. If you want to find out more about her work, you can find a link to her website in the details below this video, as well as a link to the website of Widening Circles if you're interested in exploring and perhaps becoming part of our community. So thank you for listening. Also, there's the subscribe button that you can hit in order to be notified next time we bring someone special that you can also listen to and be inspired by alongside with us. Thank you for listening and have a beautiful day, afternoon, evening, whatever you have in front of you.